I'm so glad we have the Otaku 3 episode rule, because this episode won me over. I was on the fence about this series. I was liking it, yes, but this latest episode, whoa, that was good. It was a very good episode. Wow. I don't know much about Nobunaga's history. I don't know much about the entire timeline. I know exactly how it ends, but to find out what happened in this episode, Saito's demise, the way he dies. I mean, he gets shot, and that was a really tragic scene. I mean, this episode was really tragic. It had some really good feels to it. Honestly, this episode gave me those feels. It was a very emotional episode in the later half. I mean, of course, I think the CGI isn't the best in this episode. It definitely looked a little bit inhuman sometimes, but the episode looked really freaking badass when it came to those certain individual moments, like the entire bit with Saito. You see the arrows raining from the sky. I'm like, oh my god. It's a really cool effect they added to the series. I mean, the way they're keeping to the, I'm guessing, historical timeline of Nobunaga, but at the same time they're adding in a little twist, really has me intrigued. So, we find out that Dosan, I think that's his name, or Saito, whichever name you want to call him, we find out he was from the future, the same timeline as our main male character Nobunaga. And so the big thing here is we find out he was a policeman, and he's been in the Warring States era for over 30 freaking years. And so it's interesting enough how we find out that there's other people coming in from the future. So this makes me believe that most likely big people later on down the road in this series, like big names and big titles and big samurais and stuff, I think most likely will be people from the future, which right now we really don't understand exactly why certain people are being dragged into the Warring States era. So right now we need to figure out what is causing this, who is causing this, what has to happen for them to be dragged into the Warring States era, and at the exact same time, how do they get back? Because as you see in this episode, it really has a tragedy. This episode really was tragic. For instance, Saito as a character, okay? You entered this episode really not knowing nothing about him. For instance, if you're have limited knowledge on the Nobunaga timeline like I do, you most likely did not know about this character. And to see how his history was built up, and at the exact same time, you see that he had a daughter in the future. He left her and he went into the Warring States era, and he asked, our main male character Nobunaga, give my uniform to her if you ever go back to the future. It was a big tragedy setting up in this episode, and I felt like this episode was good. It was definitely on a different level from the other episodes, and by far one of the best episodes from this series. Now, this episode, all in all, is not going to probably deter people if they really just hate the animation or the CGI. They probably will still hate this episode. But if you love some historical, themes to a series, and you love the way the atmosphere of this series gave off right at the end with that tragedy, you'll definitely like this episode. This episode, whoa, it took me by surprise. I did not expect this series to give me feels. I didn't. I mean, it just goes to show you never underestimate an anime by its cover, or by its title, or anything, or by its animation, because it will shock you. Every anime has something to give. Even if it's very small, it has something to give. And with this episode, it opens my eyes to bigger and greater things, because I really love that ending song to this series, and the ending song really shows off a lot of different events, I'm guessing, down the Nobunaga timeline. For instance, you see a bunch of fights and wars and stuff going on, and so I'm intrigued to find out, how they're going to be handled in the anime. And overall, I definitely can say I'm going to continue watching this, and I'm not going to drop it, because this has definitely shocked me with what it has done. I am very enthusiastic about the series because it has historical themes, and I'm getting to learn the Nobunaga timeline, which I never really knew about. I mean, of course, they're probably going to have some filler, and probably it's not going to be, completely accurate, but I mean, it's still good getting to see these big names and stuff. I mean, learning about them and stuff, because I'm willing to bet, the connections between Saito and Nobunaga in the past were similar. For instance, I'm guessing Saito started up the entire theme with guns with Nobunaga in the past, which caused him to become gun crazy. And it clearly shows in this episode, because you see Saito give up his, revolver, his pistol, to Nobunaga, and that pistol was a police officer's pistol, and police officers usually don't give up their guns or weapons unless they die. So it really had a tragic impact on me as a person. At the exact same time, I could see how that can affect Nobunaga to really go to war and try to be the ruler of Japan. So, everybody, tell me your thoughts, honestly, about this episode. I mean, this episode was really freaking good. I mean, I could see how someone can hate it. I can see how a lot of people will be quick to judge about the animation, which I can't defend it, really. I mean, not because it's CGI, but because there's a lot of awful-looking CGI. But besides that, this series has impressed me, so tell me your thoughts about this episode, everybody. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite moments about it? And honestly, are you going to continue watching this series after seeing this episode? If you're not, please let me know also why you won't continue watching this. So anyways, everybody, you have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.